We are back with a new development sprint, and now we're gonna keep working on the shape element of art because there's so many things to cover. We've done shape language. We have created the Space Invaders clone game where you can put this into practice, but next one on our priority list is simplification. This is a needed topic before we get to pixel art scale, because obviously in pixel art we don't have so much space and we need to make things smaller, take away details, just put in what's important. So we need simplification. I've designed some of the lessons here that will go from realistic to symbolic. I'm gonna draw some beautiful faces. I have all the script written already and all the tasks done for the sprint. So let's just get right into it and see how much we get done. All right. There's been some really good progress. All the high priority tasks are done. By the way, look at this. Dark mode in Codex. Wow. But yeah, so it's great. I've been finishing all this quite quickly, so I have some more time to do some cool tech coming up. But before we get to do that, let's take a look at how this looks like. So we have a new tutorial, simplification. It's getting crowded here. We'll have to figure something for that next time. But simplification starts with a look at symbols, because yeah, that's something that you have to be aware when you're drawing, that our minds, if we don't train them, we think in symbols. Like when we're children, we draw stuff, we kind of create this idea of, well, how does a house look like? And we just have this kind of ways of how we draw stuff. So this is our symbol for a house. Then this will be a symbol for a person. Even more abstract things, we come up with symbols for them to represent what's going on. And the thing is, if we just kind of stay at this level of trying to draw with using of symbols, then this is what our minds will just go to. If you need to draw a face, you will not actually draw what's in front of you. You will draw kind of what your mind has memorized as a symbol for the eyes, a symbol for the mouth. And we can see this already in the next lesson where we will compare stylistic and realistic drawing. So here's a hieroglyph, one of those ancient Egyptian drawings or letters in a way, symbols. And yeah, here's their hieroglyph for representing face. So see, this is how the eye symbol looks like, this is how the mouth symbol looks like, and this is quite nice. Everybody will know that this is a face, but it is far from how an actual Egyptian would have looked like. Close, but not quite. And so here's a reconstruction from a research paper that I found, how the pharaoh Tutankhamun would have actually looked like. So we now get to draw this more realistic version. I think you can see the difference, what I was going for between realistic and drawn more with just thinking about the symbols. And that's not to say that one is better than the other, because when we have these super stylized drawings with essentially just relying on the symbols for things, well, the benefit of this is that this can sort of represent everybody. If you have a stylized character, it's easy to project yourself into this one. So the more realistic things are, the more narrow amount of people it can represent, the more stylized it is, the easier it is to get into that character's shoes. And if you're interested in this topic, definitely read Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics. And the thing in pixel art, even this one that is supposed to be a realistic, it already has to be stylized down because of the nature of the medium. And especially the smaller you go, the more you will need to know how to stylize things. So for a medium like pixel art, being in control of where on this spectrum between realistic and symbolic or stylized you want to be, good skill to have. So here we then look at examples of how things can be stylized in actual video games. I chose a bunch of examples from ZX Spectrum. Now again, this is sort of what the Understanding Comics book talks about, but just translated into pixel art video game examples instead of comics. So here we have realistic on one side and stylized on the other side, and then it's a spectrum of everything in between. Really had a lot of fun finding all of these references and sorting them. I think I went over like 100 different sprites, collected them all, and organize them on based by size, and so I chose this kind of size because it's quick enough to draw that you can get done with all of these sprites still in a reasonable amount of time. We'll see how many of these you will recognize, but even if you don't, you get a little cheat sheet at the end. So these are all high priority lessons done, and now we move into more experimental area with the silhouettes, because I have created a new kind of reference, and this time you get a reference that you can actually rotate. So you put it down and then you can hover over the center and you can turn it around. So you try to create the reference that will sort of create the most sort of recognizable shape. And so once you get there, it goes to the next step. And now I have to come up with crazy tech that's actually going to draw the silhouette that matches exactly what is here in the reference. So I have a little bit of math down the line in this week. Let's see if I can make it work. We are back, and yes, this was a really smooth sprint. Everything just kind of worked out how I wanted it. I'm really happy with the results. I switched the order a little bit so that you won't get to those ZX Spectrum sprites until the very end. And after this progression from realistic to symbolic, we're gonna go into the silhouette lesson that I mentioned. And yes, now we have 3 references we can choose from. So scissors from last time, here they are, and exactly. So after you place them on the table, you also actually get to see a silhouette on the paper. So if I, for example, once I kind of put it in a nice little position, then you just get the silhouette, so you can do the pixel art version of it. And then once you start drawing, it doesn't let you rotate it again, but if you want to change it, you can delete and then you can rotate again. I like this one, so let's draw it out. We have a couple more. Here's a house. Doesn't let you do this one. This one's a little bit too complicated, but if we go here, something like this, then we have our little typical house. All right, there we have it. The silhouettes are done. From silhouettes, here all that we care about is the main overall shape of the item, but sometimes, you can't always know everything just from the silhouette. So we have 3 more items where you do have to put some details in, because otherwise the silhouette of this would just simply be a square, a rectangle. It would be essentially a suitcase. You have to have some details to be able to figure out what's going on. So we can, in this case, again go here and then go left and right to choose less or more details. This radio has so many knobs and stuff, something like this. Let's try this one. There we go. There's a little boombox. Next up, we can change the proportions, because the most realistic proportions aren't always the most readable. So for example, here we have the clock, and again, this time our swell, if we can change the shape of it. So this time it's just gonna morph. Or with the house, the windows just kind of become more equal and in better places. The scissors as well have a little bit shorter blades than what you would usually see in an icon, so we can be changing them as well. All right, let's take a look at what's next. After we have stylized the proportions, made things a little bit more readable, more clarity, we can also change the shapes of the things to be basic shapes. For example, this house, again, we can just grab here and then squeeze, and everything becomes more regular 45-degree angles. And here is your typical icon representation of a house. We also have the scissors again. Here, everything simplifies down to a circle and a rectangle. And the final reference is this sword. Let's see how we can simplify this one. Yep, let's make all of the angles 45, equal width. Very simple, very clean. And there we have it. So these are the new lessons. After this one is done, we go onto the intentional simplification that I showed last time, sort of to wrap up all of these lessons and give you examples of how they can be used in more professional sprites. There you have it. simplification of shapes. I hope you will enjoy it. I hope you see the connection of how, yeah, if you can learn how to draw realistically from reference, then you can intentionally apply some of this simplification approaches, techniques. You can then control, you can make things more readable, more simplified. Especially we'll need this in the next lesson on pixel art scale, because yeah, when you go to smaller and smaller scale in pixel art, you have to get rid of the details and make things clearly readable. But that's for next time. And so yeah, thank you so much. I will get this out to you. If you can watch this, it's probably already out on Steam. So see you next time. Cheers.